It's 6:05. It's the Plan Commission meeting. It's Monday, April 11th of 2022, and we have a quorum. And before we get started, I just want to take a moment to thank Commissioner Barman. This would be Todd's last meeting. We certainly appreciate having his expertise here on the Plan Commission for the past several years. You're going to be missed, but stay in touch. You know where we'll be on Monday nights, so look us up. Anything you want to say?
No, just thanks for the opportunity.
Appreciate it. Good luck. We'll get into the agenda then. First item would be approval of the committee minutes from March 14th. I would entertain a motion to approve the minutes.
I'll make that motion.
Motion by Robinson. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Second by Caravello. Any discussion on the minutes? Hearing none. All in favor say aye.
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 And any
Aye.
opposed? None opposed. The minutes carry. All right, next would be the council representative report. Alderperson Caravello.
And it looks like the only thing from the March 22nd council meeting was R64 of 2022 was passed.
All right. Next item would be the staff report. Director Shield.
Monthly report is in the packet, and I'm available to answer any questions.
Any questions on the staff report? All right.
Rodney had some good reverb too, so I'm guessing it's everything that's coming from City Hall is being funky.
Yeah, for some reason, I have to mic my computer. It's not coming through the system as it normally does, so we'll see if we can get it resolved by the end of the meeting, but we're just gonna make do for now.
Okay.
So I'll try to adjust the volume as we go, but if I forget, you'll hear the feedback. Next item is a conditional use permit for an indoor commercial entertainment use at Cheezer's, 183, 187 East Main Street. And that was, you might recall, that was postponed from our last meeting. And there's an item in your packet that kind of summarizes the conversations we've had from the last meeting. And I guess the first item for consideration would be whether or not the commissioners feel there's reason to reopen for a public hearing. We did have a request to do so. And does somebody want to make a motion to reopen the public hearing?
I'll make the motion to reopen the public hearing.
Okay. Caravello, is there a second?
I'll second.
Second by Schumacher. Any questions about the public hearing? So basically, the city attorney said that we could post it and reopen it if the commissioners desire. It would basically be under the 3 rules, so anybody that would wish to speak would have 3 minutes to speak on the issue. So we ask that they be concise. If there's anything that was covered at the last meeting, probably don't need to reiterate that unless there's something that we felt we missed. Otherwise, that's what we'd be looking at doing. Any questions from commissioners? Any questions from commissioners?
No.
Okay, so all in favor of reopening the public hearing, say aye.
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 And any opposed? None opposed, so that carries. So we'll close our regular meeting and reopen for the public hearing. And I have Ellen Sheets would like to speak. You can come up to the microphone here, Al. We'll see if that one works. And I want to make sure they can hear you. So,
Can you hear me? Can you
you
hear me?
guys zooming in here, Alan?
Yes.
Can you hear me?
I'm getting thumbs up.
Can hear
Okay.
you. Yep.
Okay, thanks for letting me come back. I just wanted to verify the attorney's letter that I submitted was included in the record for the proposal. I want to reiterate a little bit. I have tried to find reasonable solutions to this problem. I am not against Cheezers trying to expand their business to their second floor. It's just simply the conditional things that I'm trying to maintain. I simply want to protect my tenants' safety and privacy, my investment in my building and my business. One of the things I did not indicate before is I have made so far around $70,000 investments in the 2 apartments in my upstairs for my second floor apartments in order to attract the better professional tenants. This is something that, because I have a mixed business, is exactly what the city has asked in their proposals in the past for the city's vision of the downtown. Improvements in my building, improvements in my apartments bring the right kind of people to downtown to live in the downtown. That is what I have done. I spoke to Amy Brashy, the partner in Cheezers and A&B Keystone Properties, about the hallway. She said that Brian and herself verbally agreed to not using the shared hallway and I could just put locks on the entrance doors. Verbal will not work for me. That's why this has come to this situation. Having a written agreement is the only way to protect and prevent any escalation of conflict for both parties, and that is what I'm really trying to do. The safety and the liability is always a concern with the very high steps, 21 steps that are in this shared hallway that go upstairs. You guys have a printout of the different floors, which are actually quite high. And so it's a concern to me from the liability and safety issues of anybody using that other than the tenants that are there. And the 2 tenants are the 2 apartments that I have adjacent to the 2 doors on Cheezer's doorway to that hallway. And so anytime we add alcohol consumption creates a problem. Another thing that I really don't have clarification on is what is the occupancy capacity for the proposed area on the second floor? I don't know if I've seen that noted anywhere because that will be an issue for me, not knowing what kind of noise effect and what kind of, again, it's going to be traffic hopefully internally from Cheezers, and that's, again, I'm happy for them, and I think they can be very successful doing what they're doing. Noise is a concern, and the other question I had was, will music be playing or a band ever be up there on the second floor? Again, with this supposedly proposed only being open until 9 o'clock, that still creates a sound issue. These hallways are only 48 inches wide. That's it. So anything that goes from one building on that hallway goes into the next building, which are my tenants. We can continue to work on trying to do filtration as far as noise and so forth. Just to restate, when the proposal was emergency exits only within Cheezers to the shared hallway, no customers or deliveries. Lock installed to the south tenant entrance. Even by me having a lock installed for my tenants to go up, Cheezers still has access to that shared hallway from their first floor level. We both have interior doorways in our businesses that go to that hallway. So even if that door is locked only for tenants, there's still access to it by Cheezers.
Never use that door.
There is a doorway there.
Guys,
There is a doorway there. Thank
gotta
you.
keep order here, and
Yeah.
your time's just about up.
Yeah. Conditional use, because Cheezer's not clear on how and what the space will be used for, this needs to be reevaluated after 6 months because they fall under the classification tavern. This could only create even more problems. Cheezer's clearly knew when they started this project of the shared hallway, but failed to mention anywhere in their proposal of any potential issue that could be. And as they continue to state, will not create undesirable impacts on other properties. Well, this obviously creates an undesirable impact on my properties with the shared hallway. Again, I'm willing to work with Cheezers on solving this problem, but this is the only way I can helpfully do this. They have their own internal stairway in and out of their building without affecting my tenants, which deserve to have their privacy. I thank the commission for letting me speak again, and I'm hoping that you understand why this is so important to me and my tenants. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, anybody else wish to speak at the public hearing? Hearing none, we'll close the public hearing and then reopen for our regular business here. Any initial questions or thoughts from commissioners? In your packet, you probably saw there's several things included, some which Mr. Sheets just kind of went through right now. I think that, the proposed use under the conditional use permit has pretty well been discussed as far as the classes or courses that might be held upstairs. Any questions about any of that?
Mayor, I guess I have a couple questions.
Sure, go ahead.
So hopefully you can hear me all right. My one question to start with is, as we're looking at this conditional use permit, most of the time when we, as a commissioner for a number of years, when we look at these conditional use discussions, we are looking at the specific use that is being proposed, which was laid out in what Cheezers has provided to the commission. But the issue has come up that it's also more broadly defined as tavern. So I guess I would like to know as a commissioner, are we more broadly allowing tavern, or are we approving specifically the uses that were laid out in the proposal from Cheezers to the commission?
That is correct. We do not, our intent is not to have a tavern.
No, I understand, but I'm asking the city staff in terms of the legal outcome of our voting on
A little bit more.
resolution that's in the packet.
Yeah,
It's based on the application.
yeah, it's based on what's on the application.
Okay, good. And then I guess I'll express one concern that I still have, and that I think comes mostly from the picture that was included in the packet of the doorknob from the second floor of Cheezers. I appreciate the fact that the resolution now includes the requirement that it's exit only, locked from the outside and open from the inside at all times. But I guess I would need to hear from either city staff, or I don't know if the building inspector has had a chance to weigh in on whether a doorknob as pictured is suitable, or if that has to be ADA. Because I know from experience that when I had ADA exit issues, it had to be operable from an ADA perspective, which a turn knob like that is not considered ADA accessible.
We didn't evaluate that.
Okay, my understanding is we did not evaluate that. We could certainly do that if you wish.
I think it's important from a building inspection aspect to this, and maybe that just kicks in regardless of how we vote tonight. But I think it also applies to the doors. If the doors to the stairwells are now also locked on the street level, but open from the inside, it may be a similar situation where those doors also need to be operable from an ADA perspective. So I assume that as a commission, we would want to make sure that the building inspector weighs in on those requirements.
Yeah, I mean, the doors would go into the hallway, and really the only way to go is down the 21 sets of stairs.
Right, so I would want them, if they have an emergency exit on the second floor, that they don't get to the bottom of the stairs and then can't get out down there. So I want to make sure that the outside door, yes,
Okay.
that goes to the street to the north, or the back of the building to the south.
Okay, all right. Any other thoughts or questions? So what you have in front of you, commissioners, there is a resolution in there, and you have some options here. You can accept it as is, or, you could try to put some conditions on there that you think maybe could have been included that were not. I guess it's really up to you on what you'd like to do.
The only condition that I think needs to happen is on that exit door out of the space from Cheezers into the hallway. needs one of those panic alarm things on it, like you see in restaurant emergency exit doors, where it sets off an alarm if someone goes through that, so that people are alerted that someone's illegally exiting into that hallway.
Yeah, I think how they're planning on rectifying that is they're gonna put a sign on the door that says emergency exit only, and then the person that is doing the class or the tasting or whatever the event is upstairs would be supervising and responsible for the people that are up there. So it would be that person's responsibility to make sure that nobody went out in the hallway, and if they did, they would go out and grab them. But I would imagine that that would be part of the beginning of the class where they would kind of explain, the house rules, if you would, to try to be proactive and making sure, because I think all parties, want the same thing. They want to have a nice, peaceful event up there that they can continue to have, and if there's issues, that would certainly, threaten the ability to continue to operate. So I think that's covered, but I certainly understand your concern. Anything else from the commissioners?
So I have a question is, if generally I'm trying to basically scroll through this stuff as we're looking at it, but I just want to make sure that the concerns of Mr. Sheets is addressed in the application, like
I think the biggest
the-
concern I heard was the 9 o'clock, and that's in the resolution under the be it resolved, unless there's something else that you feel should be included as well.
Well, there was a fifth point on the letter from his attorney regarding the limited basis of the conditional use permit, which I'm not sure if that's, mentioning a 6-month limited, basically looks like kind of trial period or something to that effect. And I don't know if that's really necessary or if that's in.
I think that, from my experience, that would be an unusual request, and it would limit the opportunity to really even book anything, because if you're 4 or 5 months out and you're trying to book an event, and it's possible that after 6 months, it could even be a different plan commission, at that point could come in and say, we're not going to allow it, and then he'd have to go back to all of his customers and say, sorry, you can't have the event. So I wouldn't support that.
Yeah, and unless I'm missing something, I mean, it seems like not a necessity to try to put a limited wording in there, because if there is any violations of things as far as noise or nuisance, that sort of stuff, I mean, that just applies all the time.
Right. And I really think that, the owner of the business really wants to be, successful and have a good experience for everybody. Certainly trying to be sensitive to their neighbors. I mean, I would hope that they would be good neighbors.
And also another thing, I know Alan mentioned something about capacity of that space, but there again, I also don't know if that really, as long as the volume isn't becoming a nuisance, and people aren't using the hallway for
Just for the whole
ingress
building?
and egress, only for emergency, I don't know if that really.
Availability, number of exits. But that has to be evaluated for that.
Who calculates that? The fire department?
Designer and/or the fire department.
Okay, so we'll have to do some additional work. It sounds like that it's more than likely that somebody from the fire department would do an evaluation on the capacity.
I think it'd be hard pressed to see it exceed capacity based on that code with 2 exits.
Yeah.
Because there's also
Literally,
some,
there's three exits if you
Can he
think
hear
about it.
you?
There's actually
can-
three
I can-
exits, so I think
Yep.
you'd find it hard to meet capacity limitations in that space.
okay. And capacity, there's also a factor of restrooms availability, right?
Restrooms,
capacity-wise?
either they factor in, but not necessarily specific to capacity.
Okay.
Any other questions or comments from commissioners? Okay, hearing none, so I guess at this point, is somebody willing to make a motion to approve the conditional use permit?
I'll make that motion to approve the conditional use permit.
Okay, is there a second?
Second.
Second by Farrell. All right, any questions or any amendments or?
I guess just a question. So we're essentially voting on the resolution as worded within the packet, correct? So it includes all the language within that resolution.
That is what the motion is, yes.
Okay. And I can be safe in assuming that the ADA doorknob issue will be addressed as part of the building inspection.
Yes.
Code enforcement's gonna take care of that.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Hearing none, all in favor of the motion, say aye.
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 And any opposed? That motion carries. Thank you. All right, next item is a ordinance to annex approximately 20 acres from the town of Pleasant Springs, which is the Mole Farm. And how would we like to go through this one?
I can give an overview.
All right.
I think commissioners have at least been introduced to this project. You'll recall this area is adjacent to Williams Drive, just north of Glacier Moraine Drive, 20 acres directly to the north side of that northeast of that intersection. As was previously discussed, Emmy Roth is the entity that's planning to develop on this property. Further in your packet, you'll see there's an ordinance amendment request and the urban service area amendment request associated with this as well. Annexation's just the first step to move this property into the city limits. We can report that the Department of Administration found that this annexation is in the public interest to do so. They find whether it's against the public interest or in the public interest, and I believe it was on Thursday or Friday we received word from them that is in the public interest.
All right, any initial thoughts or questions from commissioners? We have some folks here from Emmy Roth, if you have any questions for them as well.
Rodney, on the plot, that little jog that's on the north edge of that property, was that, because is there a structure or something nearby that, or just seems a little
I'll have to
awkward?
defer that. I don't know
Okay.
exactly, but the farmhouse from the Holmes farm is still remaining just to the north of this boundary line.
Got it, maybe it was too close and they had to take a bite out of it,
It
but,
very well could have been.
all right.
Any other questions from commissioners? Okay, hearing none, so there's a resolution in here for the annexation. I would entertain a motion.
I'll make the motion to recommend to council.
A motion by Schumacher, is there a second?
I'll second.
Second by Caravello. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
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 Any opposed? That motion carries. Thank you. Item 7 is the resolution to proceed with the urban service area amendment for the 20 acres. And what would you like to say about this one?
Yeah, this is the initial step. The city has to pass a resolution in support of the amendment of the urban service area. The urban service area amendment request is actually forwarded to the Capital Area Regional Planning Commission. The application materials are included as part of an attachment to the resolution. As you can appreciate, it's a fairly straightforward one. The commission's seen more detailed ones when we've looked at the 51 West development where you've got multiple land uses. This one's a pretty straightforward request just for the specific property in question. You'll recognize or might not recognize there's sanitary sewer and water system information in the packet as well. But for those that recall, Glacier Moraine Drive was installed with the intent to accommodate this in the future. A water main already extends up Williams Drive parallel to this site and extends and creates a looped water main system in that area as well. So we're positioned well for this amendment. We think that it would be received well by the Capital Area Regional Planning Commission as well in their deliberation process. Our recommendation from the Plan Commission goes to the council tomorrow night, actually, and then there will be a hearing at the Capital Area Regional Planning Commission on May 12th.
Any initial questions from commissioners? Okay, I'm hearing none. So I would entertain a motion to send the urban service area amendment resolution to the city council.
Make that motion.
Motion by Robinson, is there a second?
I'll second.
Second by Caravello.
No, Barman.
Pardon?
Actually, Barman.
Oh, Barman, sorry.
It's all right.
Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
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 And any opposed? None opposed, that motion carries. Next item would be the certified survey map. And there should be a map in your packet and a resolution for that map. Director Shield?
Again, this really just builds off the project we're speaking of. It creates a parcel for this development to occur. It indicates the area that would be dedicated as part of the public dedication along Williams Drive and creates the parcel within the city limits.
All right, any questions on that? Hearing none, I would entertain a motion to approve the CSM.
I'll make the motion to approve the CSM.
All right, I have a motion by Schumacher. Was there a second?
I'll second.
All right, second by Robinson. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
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 And any opposed? None opposed, that motion carries. Next item is the planned development, and it looks like this one here, we'll have to go into a public hearing at some point. Anything you want to cover before we go into that?
Yeah, associated with the same project is the request to rezone the property. Once it becomes property within the city limits, the city zoning code would be applicable. The applicants have identified the district in which they're seeking this project to be within the utilizing the plan development process. And I can highlight within the ordinance there's minor exceptions that are being requested as part of this process. And I think the justification thereof is included in the packet as well. I'll just highlight and mention what they are. One of them's for the height maximum. In the district normally that would be comparing to 40 feet would be the maximum. Due to the circumstances and the high storage capacity in their storage portion of the building, they're seeking a 49-foot maximum for consideration. And then you'll note some additional landscaping items related to the lot landscaping islands, parking lot landscaping islands, and the size thereof. And I think once you see the site configuration, you can kind of understand why they're trying to accomplish that as well. So those are the exceptions that are really requested as part of the GDP process for this development that would be subject to the 20 acres that were contemplated as part of the annexation.
All right, any initial questions before we go into public hearing? Hearing none, we'll close the regular meeting and reopen for the public hearing. Anybody wish to speak at the public hearing? I don't believe anyone signed up. Seeing none, close the public hearing, reopen for our regular business. Did you have a chance to come up with any questions during that public hearing? Yeah, I didn't think so, but I had to ask. Otherwise, I would entertain a motion on the resolution for the general development plan.
I'll make a motion to approve that GDP.
All right, Alderperson Caravello, is there a second?
Second.
Second by Schumacher. One last time, any questions or comments? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
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 And any opposed? That motion carries. Next item is conditional use permit. Director Shield?
This is for an indoor, it's classified as an indoor commercial entertainment use. It's for a type of fitness class, if you will, within the Macomb Plaza on Macomb Road. The application materials and the proposed resolution are in the packet for your consideration. There is a public hearing associated with the CUP process.
Any questions on this one before we go into the public hearing? Hearing none, we'll close the regular meeting, reopen for the public hearing. Anybody here to speak on this one? Yeah, I didn't think so. All right, we'll close the public hearing and reopen our regular meeting. Any questions or comments from commissioners on this one? Hearing none, there is a resolution for this conditional use permit in your packet. I would entertain a motion to approve it.
I actually have one question.
All right.
Is this this specific location, is this piece of Macomb Plaza currently vacant?
Yes.
I believe
Yeah, I
it
was
is,
out
yeah.
there the other day, and they're in there. They're planning on. Looks like they have some wood there. They're going to put up some walls or an office or something in there to partition it. So it is vacant. I believe
Right.
it might be the only vacant unit left there, but I'm not 100% sure about that.
I believe it is right now, yeah.
Right. I was just curious.
Yeah, I think that might be the first time ever that that was full. Any other questions or comments? Okay, so I would entertain a motion to approve the CUP on this one.
So moved.
Who was that?
Barman.
Barman? You're so quiet tonight.
I must be sitting too far away from my microphone.
Oh, as long as you're not dozing off.
Well, I just want to make sure that I'm in the last minutes for my last meeting. So.
Yeah, get you in the box
Several
score.
times.
His legacy.
Yeah, we can't see you though. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Second by Caravello. All right, any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
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 Any opposed? None opposed, that motion carries. Oh, now I can see you, Todd.
Figured on my last meeting, you might as well.
Yeah. All right, item 11, plan development SIP for 51 West Lot 18. Director Shield?
Yeah, commissioners are familiar with this as the GDP has already been approved for this particular site. It's on Lot 18, be on the east side of 51, just north of Elkman Way, as part of the 51 West development. The SIP package that's been put together has been outlined in the resolution, and we're comfortable in recommending that it meets the conditions that were outlined in the general development plan approval process.
All right, any initial questions from commissioners?
I should highlight one thing. There was one thing about the signage that I wanted to just highlight when we get to that point.
Okay, that was, what was that, right here?
In the resolution on item E, they're requesting a building name sign on the building. And I think you'll recall we did something in a similar fashion for the riverfront redevelopment project area. And so it was itemized as such in this request as well and outlined as one of the recitals and approval in the resolution.
All right. Any questions or comments about this SIP before we go into the public hearing?
There isn't a public hearing for this, is there?
Nope.
No.
Oh, I'm sorry, I'm on to the next one. There is no, okay. I'm one step ahead of myself. It all bleeds together.
But we're here anyway.
Okay. So if there's no questions or comments, I would entertain a motion for the SIP. And this one just needs to be approved here, right? It doesn't go to council.
That's correct.
Okay. Anybody willing?
I have one question.
Okay.
Another curious thing is, and I may have missed it if it's there, but I am curious if the developers have considered a renewable energy or sustainable energy component, like with adding some solar or something of that nature, or if there is any and I'm not sure what is necessary to prepare for something like that, or if they've had thought about that as far as, because that looks like a lot of area out there that is going to be unimpeded and have a lot of wonderful sunlight that could be taken advantage of at that location. I'm just wondering if there was any thought as far as that goes, or if there was any thought about preparation for that in this project.
Anybody from the development team want to address that?
I think Brett and Brian, the developers,
Okay.
Brett and Brian are online virtually. I'm Tammy McCullough with JLA Architects. And then Brian Wolf and Ryan are here from the design team. So,
Okay.
Brett, are you ready?
Yeah. You guys hear me okay?
We can. Thank you.
Okay, good. No, Brett Riemann here. Brian Spanos is with me as well. So thanks again for having us, and we're proud of the project that we put together thus far. Getting to Phil's question about solar panels or other discussions, we haven't too much. Our main focus has been on just controlling costs with this site, and not saying that would. We just don't know. We've never put solar panels on. We looked at putting them on 2 projects ago, and they were just cost prohibitive. I don't know if they've come down more or if it's more cost effective. We are doing everything in our power to create the right building envelope, working with JLA, and doing whatever we can from just an overall utility conservation standpoint. But we have not looked at solar panels. Tammy, I don't know. I mean, you guys do hundreds of these projects. What do you see out there in terms of and Phil, you might have some feedback as well, just in terms of the cost benefit ratio.
What I can answer is I'm not familiar with, I think we have a few projects at JLA where there is some solar, especially the buildings that they're much taller than these and are mostly glass. They're utilizing that to gather the energy, and I think they're in Madison. But Brian, do you know of any others?
Sorry, this is Brian Wolf with JLA. Typically, we do life cycle costs on projects like this, and I think Wisconsin falls under jurisdiction where they don't allow third-party applications. So sometimes with projects like this, the payback is so far out in terms of the longevity or the cost that it takes initially, that the projects sometimes suffer in the beginning for the tenants and the site development and landscaping. So we try to take on an approach and be prudent in sustainability in terms of materiality and embodied energy of what it takes to make the materials, and versus a clay fired brick or or a cementitious material for cladding. So we try to be responsible in terms of, some of those things in terms of CO2 contribution to the atmosphere, and we weigh those with, or is solar panel the better idea, or is trying to find an alternate for a material that can help the environment as well. So there are things that we do that are kind of unseen, but are managed prudently through the design of the process. So I guess that is one way that we're looking at sustainability. And there's also some other site mitigation things that we do as well.
Did you have any follow-up, Alderperson Caravello?
No, I have, by any means, I do not have any expertise in this area. It is good to hear that whatever, there's a mind to materials as far as environmental friendliness, I guess we could say. So that's nice to hear, but I guess, the project will just be under, since it will be new electrical service and everything, that if an opportunity does, hopefully in the future, near future at some point, that solar does become, something that is strongly encouraged, if not mandated, or who knows what we're going to see in the future, then it would potentially be looked at that point. I just thought, boy, out there, it looks like there's going to be a lot of nice roof that could be put to work. But I guess we'll wait and see what the future holds.
Yeah, and I would just add, you might want to have a conversation with Stoughton Utilities. We're part of a consortium with WPPI. They may have some incentives available that you may want to check into
right.
that might help with the payback.
Mm-hmm.
So I'd be more than happy to connect you with those folks and see whether or not there's an opportunity.
Yeah, certainly for the future, that would be welcomed, yeah.
Yeah, and the other thing we do encourage is during the construction phase, if you can at least think about electric car charging stations and at least run the conduit, you can always do the connection later. And we've been doing that on even our city parking lots where we run the conduit, and then we've been able to secure grants later to pay for the actual charger. Mm-hmm. So I would encourage you to look at that, because that might also be a good selling point for potential tenants as well.
Yeah.
I think that's been discussed during design. So as we're getting, we're just now starting a bidding process. So that would be one of those things that could be worked through with the design build electrical contractor.
Sure. So we're happy to help you, or the builder, or whoever we need to talk to try to facilitate those conversations.
Great. Yeah. Thank you.
Sure. Anything from commissioners that we might have missed? Okay, no questions. So I guess, so this one was an SIP, and there is a resolution in there. At this point, I would consider a motion for the resolution.
I'll make the motion to approve the SIP.
Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Robinson. Okay, any discussion about the SIP? Hearing none, all in favor, say aye.
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 And any opposed? None opposed, that motion carries. Thanks for coming in
Yeah,
tonight.
thank you.
Thank you very much.
Appreciate it.
Thanks, everybody.
Thank you. Next item, number 12, is ordinance to amend sections 78-920 and 58-2. And this is the other one with the public hearing. And is this coming from you, Michael?
This came from Matt Dragney.
The city attorney, you might recall, we've actually had some previous amendments to codes related to nuisance abatement. They've continued to refine their strategy about how to address them properly in our ordinances. This represents a follow-up revision that's being recommended by the city attorney's office. Even at the last council meeting, I know the city attorney highlighted that there would be additional amendment proposals, and this is that next amendment that he thinks is appropriate to filter into our ordinances.
All right, any initial questions from commissioners before we go into the public hearing? Is this blue line, is that replacing the red line? Is that a new thing?
It's one of the same, but a different color.
Okay.
Shows up better, maybe, I don't know.
Not for me, it doesn't. Gonna have to adjust to that. Are there any questions before we go into public hearing? All right, hearing none, we'll close the regular meeting, open up the public hearing. There's only one person left in the room. She's shaking her head no, so we'll close the public hearing and reopen for our regular business. I would entertain a motion to approve the ordinance.
I'll make the motion to approve these changes.
All right, Caravello, is there a second?
I'll second.
Second by Barman. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? None opposed, that motion carries. Next item, it says Walmart landscaping update. Do we have an update?
Been working on it, but
Yeah.
they didn't get back to me yet, but they're looking at it.
Okay.
But,
It's in process.
yeah.
We've engaged with them and we're expecting follow-up from them, but we don't have anything specific to report at this point.
All right. When they do that, will they be pulling a permit or will they just do it?
They don't need a full permit, they just need to meet the approved plan.
Okay. So hopefully they'll at least contact you and give you a heads up when they're gonna do it. So we'll keep poking them until they get it done. How's that sound?
Thank you.
And we'll just, I guess we can just keep it on as an item until it's resolved.
Sure.
All right, future agenda items. Do we have any future agenda items?
Not that I've deliberately placed in here, but we do expect to have the SIP related to the Emmy Roth project. That'll be forthcoming. Additional steps related to, I think there's additional updates to our zoning code that will be coming in at a future meeting as well. But the Emmy Roth project is one I know we'll see more of, and I think it's an exciting one. Certainly likely to see some additional information related to the annexation, the Rob Hostrauser annexation, Acker Road, Taylor Lane annexation area. Would expect to start to see some development concepts moving forward with that project too.
All right. Anything from commissioners?
I have nothing to add, but if I can add something before we adjourn,
Sure.
I would just like to also thank Commissioner Barman for his great work. You will certainly will be missed, and best and happy trails and all that sort of thing.
Thank you very much. I didn't come prepared. I should have had something meaty to put on your next agenda or to recommend for your next agenda. I won't be here having to deal with it, but
You know where to
I
find
won't
us.
do that too.
Yeah, thanks again, Todd. We'll give you the honorary option to make the final motion.
I move to adjourn the meeting.
All right, is there a second?
I'll second that.
All right, second by Robinson. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
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 Any opposed? None opposed? We are adjourned. Thank you.
Thank you, Todd.
Thanks, everybody.
Thanks, Todd.
Yep,
Hey, everybody.
take care.